Welcome to Operation Onward podcast. Today we're sitting down with actor, comedian, Purple Heart recipient, Army combat veteran, and just all around awesome guy, Thom Tran. Thom, welcome to the studio. Thank you for being on Operation Onward.
Thank you
Thom?
for the third time.
For the third time.
Fun fact, behind the scenes, this is the third episode we've recorded. And
Yeah.
the first one you're seeing.
Yep. We're going to get it.
We
We're
are.
going to get it.
We are.
So,
Third time's a charm.
but yeah, thank you so much for sitting down with us for a third time.
Yeah, I love you guys. Why wouldn't I sit down for a third time? If I hated you, I'd be like, nah, it's just
Like,
once was enough.
that's fine.
Thom, what,
see you.
let's start with current, man. What do you currently have going on that you want to tell the military veteran community about and promote, get the word out so that people can check you out?
When's this episode coming out?
When do you want it to come out?
Well, I'm working on a new bit, and I'm excited about this bit, except it requires me listening to and watching the How to Dance to the Magic Mike Pony choreography
Hell
over
yeah.
and over and over again. So
Yes.
hopefully by the time this comes out, I will have that joke locked down. And I fear the number of royalties I'm going to have to pay Channing Tatum for this joke that I'm doing. But other than that, because that joke might not work out
worth
because I'm a
it.
terrible dancer.
I mean, could you give us a preview of the dance? I mean, do you have any of it? Remember?
Oh, I do.
I mean, I can
And
turn the song right now.
I've traumatized 4 people walking into the sauna this morning because I was practicing it shirtless by myself. 2 of them were employees. 2 came in to use a sauna and went, "No, I think we're good." And then they left. What do I have going on? Well, depending on when this comes out, I have a big tour happening this fall with my buddy Brad Williams.
Okay.
I will be home in Los Angeles for 5 days in November. So
Wow.
that's how much I'll be on the road. My busy season officially starts last week in Chicago. I was doing a benefit for Farm to Veteran, which is a nonprofit in the Chicago area that provides farm fresh foods, organic foods to veterans in need in the Illinois, Idaho, Michigan area around those states.
David Spade is a part of that, right?
Yeah, David Spade actually was the headliner for the event. I hosted the gala, so I was in my tuxedo looking fantastic. And I hosted the gala, and then they were like, "Hey, do you also want to open for David Spade?" "Yeah, I'll do that. I'm here." So we did the show, raised a bunch of money for the charity, and that was the official start of my busy season, which is good and bad because I have a really comfortable bed that I haven't slept in 2 weeks and won't be sleeping it very much for
Yeah.
the next 3 months. But it's a good problem to have. I remember when my busy season used to be like the week before Veterans Day and the week after Veterans Day. And now it's like, it starts in September, it'll finish sometime right before Christmas, which is really good because I have a sick cat who's costing me a lot of money, and I've got to pay for those vet bills.
What's the name of the tour? Where do people find tickets?
It's the Thom Tran Hasn't Been Deported Tour. That's not the name of it. That's just, I don't really have a name for the tour. It's a combination of me opening for my buddy Brad Williams, who's a very funny stand-up comedian. Sometimes I feel like I'm his designated international opener because I'm the only one of his friends who doesn't have a DUI. It's very tough to get into Canada if you have one. But yeah, it's me doing a lot of military events, especially around Veterans Day, and then going on the road with Brad the weeks that I'm not doing military events. And then when I go home to LA, I do like a show here, a show there, and then do laundry, and then pack up, and then head out again. So
Yeah.
no real name for the tour. It's just, we might as well call it the Cats Vet Bill Tours. You know what? That's it. That's officially the
ring to
name.
it.
There you
That's the
go.
official name of the tour now.
Are the dates posted? Are tickets for sale?
Yeah, dates are on my website, tomtran.com.
There we go.
Spell it either way. I own both websites, one of which was very expensive because there was another Thom Tran who wanted to sell it to me. And I had a good year, so I bought it. A good year that year. But yeah, tour dates are up on my website. I'm working on a new comedy album, music comedy album called Trantastic.
You were telling us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Before.
It's a funny little pun on my name.
Yes.
So I'm writing the music and the comedy for that. It's almost done. I'm constantly in the process of like pre-production to shoot the album because we're gonna shoot the video for it. But then I'm home for 5 days.
Yeah.
In November. We're gonna shoot it sometime in 2026, and I've got a new podcast that I'm working on with my friend Peter Murphy called Cryptids and Comedians, where it's
Nice.
2 stand-up comics, me and my friend Peter, talking about different cryptids. That first 4 episodes dropped October 1st to start spooky season, and then every week we talk about a different cryptid.
That's awesome.
Check that
it's
out.
one of my
I definitely will be checking that out.
it's one of my nerdy
Dogmen
little
and-
Chinese hopping vampires, I think, is one of the first episodes. The New Jersey Devil was, I think, the very first episode.
Nice.
And then it's just every week a different cryptid because he doesn't believe in them and I do. So we'll see.
Excellent.
Well, there you go. I'm going to tune in. Let's rewind. We have a huge military and veteran audience, and you're very closely connected to that community and do a ton for that community. And I want to talk about some of the things that you're doing with that community a little later, but kind of rewind. What was your inspiration? So Army combat veteran, what was your inspiration for serving? What led you to make that decision? Like, this is my time now.
Well, my dad was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. He flew for the South Vietnamese Air Force and the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War. And when Saigon fell in 1975, he was a POW for 3 years. He escaped twice, I found out. I thought it was once. It was twice. He escaped. He was back home with my mom and my siblings. Apparently, he was talking trash, and they caught him again and put him back in a POW camp. So then he had to escape a second time, and that's when my mom went, "We're done. We're leaving." So they became refugees, immigrants. Went to a refugee camp in Thailand. And then our family was sponsored to come to the United States in the early 80s when there was like the big immigrant migration to the United States. There's the Marianas boat lift in Cuba. There were a lot of Vietnamese immigrants coming to America as well because Saigon fell and then the communists took over the country. Right. And communism is bad. I don't know if people realize that and remember that.
Yes.
But there were a couple wars fought about that. So we came to the States in 1980. I have a lineage of military service. My dad was an Air Force pilot. My uncle and my grandfather were both spies during the war. Both of them were killed during the Vietnam War. So when I turned 18, I kind of realized I'm not going to be Eddie Van Halen as much as I wanted to be. As much as I love music and as recklessly as I spend money on guitars, I was not good enough to be a rock star. And I remember watching Good Morning Vietnam. And I was a music guy. I loved radio. Loved Robin
Williams, man.
Yeah, Adrian Cronhauer. And I was like, I want to do something like to serve this country that adopted my family. Again, come from a family of warriors. So I went to my recruiter and I was like, I want to be Robin Williams. I want to be Adrian Cronhauer. I want to do AFN. I want to be the Good Morning Vietnam guy or wherever we happen to have troops. And he goes, yeah, we don't have that job available right now. And a recruiter being a recruiter was like, but I got a radio job in a special operations unit. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I play in rock bands, but sure. So in my head, that meant I was going to be playing AC/DC as we jump out of planes, like amping up the pipe hitters. Not what I did. 100% not my job. I wound up being a small unit tactical and satellite comms guy. Signal specialist for a CA unit. Got attached to a couple of ODAs when I was downrange in Iraq. Got shot my 4th day in Iraq, April 3rd, 2003. And that's when life started to go downhill, which is weird.
I was going to say, that's a story.
Yeah.
That was incredible when you shared that. That was so powerful.
Yeah, it's weird how my life got worse after I got shot. Like, things were pretty good until then. I loved the Army. I loved being an NCO. And then the war things happen.
Yeah.
You get shot. My roommate got killed 2 weeks before we came home. And that's when all the bad stuff happened. Like, that's all you come home and nobody prepares you for what happens after. The U.S. military is really good at teaching us how to pull triggers, terrible at teaching us how to pick up laundry or, not freak out when your kids are late for school or whatever it is. Yeah. So it was a few years of trying to figure that out and maneuver that around that in this new life that I'd had for the first time in like a decade.
Could you tell our listeners about what happened to you? I mean, you are a Purple Heart recipient and you were shot, but could you tell us a bit about that story and what that day looked like?
So I was in a unit that got chopped out to different elements. So some of the guys went over to the 82nd, some went to the Brits. I got attached to a team from 5th Group, and we had just crossed the border 29 March 2003, so about a week after the war started.
So this is the initial push in Iraq.
OIF 1. So we crossed the border. I am digging a fighting position on Tallil Air Base where we were, hunkered down. And the team from 5th Group that we were attached to comes over and they're like, we're doing a recon. We got to go out. We got to go check out Al-Nasiriyah. And this was the team that I believe they rescued Jessica Lynch on April 1st, 2003. Oh, wow. And they take us out for a recon. We're driving through the city. I'm in my Humvee with my colonel in the passenger seat. The major's behind me, and our interpreter was behind the colonel. And I'm driving because I was an E6, lowest ranking one in the truck. And the ODA is showing us around, showing us this city we're about to take over for them because they were popping smoke and going on to another mission. And then about, 45 minutes into this recon, we start driving down this road. To the right is the river. I believe it was the Euphrates. To the left of us was the river. To the right were a bunch of buildings. And it is a kill box. It is classic kill box scenario.
Yeah.
And I remember our interpreter, I have this on video. So our interpreter starts saying, this is a really bad place. And the colonel says, why? He goes, this was the headquarters of the Ba'ath Party, the ruling Sunni minority that ruled Iraq. He was like, this was the headquarters in this area. And it was either the colonel or the major says, well, they're gone now, so this isn't that bad. And moments later, gunfire starts. And you hear it on the video in the distance. You hear pop, 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 pop. And then the ODA captain in front of us starts yelling, we're taking fire. It turns out there was a Marine element in the area who was already engaged in a gunfight. They decided not to tell anyone that they were engaged in a gunfight. I know they didn't tell anyone because I was the commo guy and nothing came over the radio. So here we are, this element of Army soft guys driving down this river with 2 FID trucks, foreign internal defense trucks, essentially Iraqi gun trucks, like these white pickup trucks that you see the videos of, with our FID guys, masks on, with AK-47s. The Marines don't know we're there. We don't know the Marines are there. We don't know that they're in a gunfight. Our FID guys turn the corner, and the Marines see them, and they're like, oh, can I swear?
Yeah.
So the Marines are like, oh shit, we're being flanked. They don't know they're our Iraqis. So the Marines start shooting at our FID guys. Our FID guys don't know what's going on. The bad guys are like, F it, we're shooting everybody. And we're in this convoy that just gets stopped. And it is infantry do not do 101. You do not stop a convoy in the middle of a gunfight, but we have nowhere to go. It's literally buildings, a river, and you gotta turn right. But you turn right and you're turning into fire, and the FID guys are already there. So in the middle of the chaos, I reach for my colonel's pistol because he's got my long gun. Because I'm driving. This is just a recon. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a boonie cap because it's a recon and we're with the ODA.
God.
And they're wearing ball caps. I'm wearing my booty cap. It's hot. It's my first week in Iraq. I mean, we've been in Kuwait for 2 months, but you know, we're out rolling with the cool guys. And as we're figuring shit out, I reached for my colonel's sidearm, and as I reached down, a sniper pulls a trigger from across the river and hits the back of my head. And I'm not wearing a Kevlar. I'm wearing my boonie cap. I don't know it's a bullet. I remember clearly thinking, oh, someone's a shitty shot and hit some debris or something, and something ricocheted and must have like hit me in the back of the head. So my head slams into the Singar's radio. I'm a little dizzy. And I only remember this because it's all on video. And the camera gets turned because my head hits the radio. The camera is just on the Singar's. And my head hits it, it gets turned around. I put on my helmet and I actually say the words, well, this will teach me not to wear a helmet. Like dumb comedian Thom Tran, not a comedian at the time, but it's like, yeah, this will teach me not to wear my helmet. And I put the helmet on. And then I'll never forget the feeling of this warm, wet sensation on the back of my neck. And I went like this, and you see me on the video go, fuck. And it's blood. I'm the combat lifesaver in the truck. Of course I am. The guy with the medical training gets shot. So we're stopped. We're not moving. The ODA's in front of us. There's red smoke dropped and like just all hell's going loose. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to fix this. So I take my helmet off, which I should have been wearing in the first place. Funny story about that. I'll tell you in a second. But I take my helmet off. I start bandaging my head. Put the helmet back on. And it wasn't until later that I realized it was a bullet, because I picked up the boonie cap and there was an entrance hole and an exit hole. And that's when I went, oh no, that was someone like aiming for my head.
So if you hadn't have reached down
Yeah,
for that pistol,
seriously.
If I hadn't reached down, the doctor said it would, very insensitive to Dallas people, but the doctor said it would have JFK'd your head. But also there was another doctor who said, you go through all the scenarios in your brain. You're trying to reconcile what just happened. It was my 4th day in country. Take a bullet. First mission outside the wire. So, you go through all the things, and I had to talk to doctors and therapists, and I was talking to a doctor at the cache on Talil Air Base. And he was like, hey man, look, that bullet could have gone under your Kevlar. It could have just ricocheted and you'd just be a bucket of blood in there. Or it could have hit dead on and snapped your neck at the velocity that was going. It was like, it happened the way it happened because it happened like that. I don't know how or why, but that's what happened. So there are scenarios where that helmet could have killed me.
Yeah.
But it didn't. So I bandaged myself up, and then we got a call.
So the other guys in the time, did they see what had happened to you or yet? Or
No.
It was just so chaotic.
It was chaotic until I was like, hey, I got shot.
And then it was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. And then the major who was in the truck comes over and he goes, what? It's like, I got shot. And that's when they're like, oh shit. So we sort that situation out. We take care of whatever the Marines were doing in the area. And then we start heading back, and then we get another call. We get a call on the radio from our operations center. It was like, hey, there's something going down at the mayor's office in town. You're the only assets in the area. Go take care of it. And the ODA captain goes, how are you doing? I was like, I'm bleeding from my head, Rich. But other than that, I'm fine. He goes, okay, well, we got to go do a thing. We got to run a second mission. You stay with the trucks. I was like, okay, that's a good idea. Because you don't know if I'm going to pass out or how much blood I'm losing. So I'm literally just like pulling security on the truck as the team, along with the ODA, go and run a second mission. And then it's like another hour before we get back to the combat hospital at Talil, before they bandaged me up. And that was day 4.
That's wild.
And then I stayed the rest of my deployment because I was like 24, 25 at the time. And like all I kept thinking was, you know, I got these 18 and 19-year-olds. I had a kid who literally just graduated from high school, went to basic, went to IIT, shows up at the unit, and like 3 weeks later, we're in a war. So I was like, I got to stay for this kid. I got to stay for these literal children.
Yeah.
Who I'm their NCO. I mean, they had other NCOs, sure, but like, I think, you know, in my head, all the scenarios are going, they're going to get absorbed to this team, and they don't know what's going on. So I got to stay. I got to stay for these kids. So
Did the Army try to send you home? After
no.
But
No.
I mean, it was the initial push in Iraq.
It was
Like
the
they
initial
just
push.
They needed everyone.
Yeah. So the funny story is I go to cash, they put 4 staples in my head, they give me a tetanus shot and send me back to my ops center. And the next day, I'm cleaning my weapon. I got a bandage on my head, and the colonel from the 87th cache, no, 86th cache, comes in, and he goes, "Hey, I just came to check up on you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good, sir." He goes, "Yeah, Specialist Cummings wants you to have her phone number." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you wouldn't stop flirting with my nurses. We figured you were okay. We were gonna send you to Germany, but." Yeah, you wouldn't stop flirting with my nurses. And I went, so my dick is keeping me in Iraq? He goes, yeah, basically. So he gives me her phone number. I go, can I use this here? He goes, no. This is not a DSN number. This is her home phone number for when you get back to the States. I was like, so I can call her? He goes, yeah. Like, cool. That's where my brain was. I was like, hey, I got shot. It's fine. This hot nurse just gave me her phone number. And that's why I stayed in Iraq.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. How, after that deployment was over, how long was that deployment?
12 months.
12 months.
We got to Kuwait first week of January 03, and we left the first week of January 04.
Okay.
So about 12 months.
And how long did you, after that deployment, how much longer did you spend in the Army?
I had a year left on my contract, and they took me off the line unit, you know, the team that just kept getting chopped out to other elements, and they made me a recruiter. Like I had to go do ADSW, which is active duty special work, because I was back in the reserves at the time when I got activated. So I went to work with the recruiters for a year, but it was not a good year because I came home. My roommate had been killed 2 weeks before we came home, 19 December 2003.
What was his name?
Specialist Charles Edward Bush. And I had a real hard time coming home because, you know, you read those stories about like vets from World War II, they get on a boat after they're in Japan or Germany or wherever.
Yeah.
They're on a boat for 3 months, crossing the Atlantic or the Pacific to come back to the States.
With their brothers and sisters they served with.
Yep.
Right.
And they got 2 or 3 months to fight and talk and cry and drink, do whatever they got to do to get it out. And a lot of those guys still came home with shell shock, as they called it, in the 40s. I got back to Bragg on a Tuesday. I out-processed by Friday. I was back in Buffalo starting my 3rd senior semester like the following week. Because every time I try to finish college, something came up. It was like, hey, you got to go to wherever. You know, I spent a semester in Japan doing a thing for the State Department. I had, you know, when Kosovo popped off and half the unit went over there, like I was constantly working.
Yeah.
So I came home. I literally came home from a war and went back to college. And I was like, I'm finishing. And I think I did something like 21 credit hours in my last semester, which is insane because usually it's like 12 or 15 credit hours. And I was like, I'm knocking this out. I'm finishing 8. I was in college as long as I was in the Army because I was constantly doing stuff for the Army. And I wrapped myself up in finishing. This was my new mission, to finish school. And then I graduated in May of 2004. And that's when everything broke down. Like it was at my graduation party. I was at my then girlfriend's house. And I just remember everybody was there partying, my family, her family, whatever. And I was in the backyard in tears, inconsolable, by myself, because I was like, now what?
Yeah, your mission was over.
Yeah. Now what? Like I'm not a soldier anymore. I'm still losing friends who are downrange. The war goes on for another, 20 years that we didn't know about at the time, but and I'm like, now I finished college. Now what? And that's when I broke. And that's when the alcoholism has started, and the drug abuse, and all the terrible, awful things that I did, that I blamed on the war. It just turned out I didn't know how to deal with coming home and handling these things after combat. So that's when my life started to fall apart. I had a heart attack a couple years later. I was 26.
Wow.
And I was 200 something pounds. I think it was like 210 pounds. I'm like 5'7". So that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a fatty. And I was drinking. All I did was drink. I couldn't be sober during the day because the voices loud, screaming constantly. Every time the phone rang and it was like a Fayetteville area code, I'm like, well, this is going to be bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so I drank, and I got in trouble a couple of times. The cops.
Why do you think that? I mean, every veteran we talk to, like I know my personal experience, so many of my best friends and brothers and sisters, and every veteran that we've had on the podcast, we talk about the transition out of the military, and they just don't have it together. Like they're great at integrating us and forcing us into a community, trauma bonding us together. But we're forced into that community. And so often it's like, okay, I transition out and then it's almost immediate self-isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that the transition out of the military is so difficult for veterans?
Well, if you think about the way they train us, it's as groups, as platoons, as squads, and you all go through basic together. You all go through AIT together. You all go through the trauma of training to be a soldier. When you get out, it's just you.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a classroom with a bunch of other dudes or ladies getting out.
Yeah.
And
tabs.
Sure, they're there. You don't know them. You didn't serve with them. They could be from different units to different bases. It's just you going through this thing, and you don't give a shit. I know I didn't. I tell people all the time now, I wish I had paid attention when I out-processed. I wish I wasn't drunk or pissed off or just didn't care about what they were talking about. And I wish I'd paid attention and understood the benefits that I had when I was getting out.
Yeah.
Because I got out at 26 and I just went, leave me alone. Give me my DD-214, leave me alone. I did it with the VA. I did it with whatever out-processing classes I had. I just went, I don't care. I'm done. Leave me alone. And that we do a real disservice to ourselves. Because at that moment, you're like, I'm done with this. I don't care anymore. These people, I don't know these people. I have nothing to talk to them about. And then you don't pay attention. Maybe they gave us really good information at outprocessing. I don't know. I genuinely do not remember anything that was said other than sign this form, go to CIF, get your shit signed off, and you're done. There was no graduation when I got my DD-214. I just walked off the base. Like, I got shot April 3rd, 2003. I got out in February of 2005. Do you know when my VA claim got settled?
When?
February of 2025. Literally 20 years later.
Wow.
And I say that and immediately realize it's because of you guys. You literally, and this is not me advertising for Remedical, but that's the reality of what happened. I got out and I went, leave me alone. I don't care. And then by the time I started putting in, forms to get my claim reevaluated, it was 15, 16 years later.
Yeah.
And then it took me another 4 or 5 years of them saying no. When there is a video
It's
of
wild
me,
with your story that I still, to this day, like meeting you and hearing your story, and you're like, yeah, I keep getting denied. I'm like,
Like,
what?
yeah, didn't you get shot in the head, man?
There's
Literally.
there's a literal video of me getting shot in the head, and the VA kept saying, it's not service connected. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, it is that self-isolation, and I feel like I want to take a minute and give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Remedical. They make stories like this possible, and they've helped over 85,000 veterans with their VA disability claims. If you're a veteran out there and you have any questions on your VA disability claim, need some guidance or just clarity on the benefits that are available to you, check out Remedical in the description. Sign up for a free consultation today and understand what you're leaving on the table. Let's get back to the show. In that out-processing procedure, I feel like there's so many things that the military could do better. And I actually want to get your opinion on that. But it's that self-isolation. I tell all of my veterans, like, you just have to find your community. You have to be a part of that. I remember.
But it's so hard when you're getting out and you see your friends are still in, or you got friends still downrange, and when it's not your choice.
Yeah. And it's like, no one is going to, I'm not going to be able to connect with them. No one's going to know my story, be able to know my story. And like I med boarded out. I was injured, medically separated. It was like a 6-month process of being on med board. And I remember during that 6-month time, I went from doing awesome things to sitting at a freaking desk, and I was so done with it. And I remember thinking, I was like, my best days are totally ahead of me. And it was the mental shift. I think it was like a year out when I realized, I was like, man, maybe my best days are behind me. Like maybe, and I'm never going to be able to experience that again. And it was a hard disconnect. That's when I started self-isolating. But so Operation Onward is, our presenting sponsor is Remedical. And they are the ones that make this platform possible and allow us to sit down with amazing veterans like yourself. And we had actually met you and referred you to Remedical to knowing your experience, knowing that you're a Purple Heart recipient, shot in the freaking head, struggling with the VA. Can you give a shout out to our sponsors and maybe tell our audience about your experience with Remedical and how they were able to help you with that?
Yeah. So we'll start with this. I got out when I was 26. The only reason I filed a claim with the VA at all was because I was going to get checkups when I got out, and I started getting bills for $15. And I'm like, what is this? Why am I getting charged for this? It's like, I got shot in the head. And they were like, you didn't file a claim. And again, I'm 26. My military career is now over. And I'm just like, fine, I'll do it. I don't care. Just leave me alone. And for a long time, I had that feeling of, I don't deserve this. Even the rating I got, I don't deserve this. My roommate had been killed. I have friends coming home, missing arms, legs, all of the really visibly traumatic things that could happen. And for a long time, I was like, I got all my toes, fingers, hands. Yeah, sure, I get some nightmares. I get headaches. I can't remember anything half the time. And I was like, I don't deserve this. I'll take whatever they're giving me right now because they say it. And I just like, all right, fine. And it wasn't until
That's the mentality of so many veterans.
I don't deserve this.
I don't deserve it.
I'm not in uniform
One
anymore.
of the number one things when I talk to vets on the phone, it's I don't need this. Other veterans need it
Other-
more than
yeah,
I do.
other people need it
I'm
more
good.
than me.
Yeah.
Or it's the mentality of like, if I get these benefits, someone that needs it more than
Someone
me
100%.
aren't
Yep.
going to get it. And,
Yep.
and it's not the way it works, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But it wasn't until like 15 or 16 years later when I was running into dudes who, no shade on their careers or what they did, but who literally didn't get off the boat in the Middle East, who were getting out with like 100% ratings. And it didn't really bother me until like people would hear my story and everyone would come up to me and go, how are you not 100% rated? And I'd just go, I don't know. Because it was so long ago and I so didn't care at the time. I was just, I don't know. I didn't put the effort into it. And then when I realized how much my life could have changed if I'd taken the full advantage of all the benefits I was eligible for, the rating that I should have gotten when I got out, my VA home loan, my VA education loan, if I'd taken real advantage of all of that, how different my life could have been. Good, bad, or otherwise, it would have been significantly different. So then I made the choice to tell myself, maybe you do deserve this. Maybe you should go back and get your claim reevaluated. And every time I did, I kept getting told no. So I kept thinking, well, they're telling me no. I've been telling me I haven't been worth this for 15 years, 16 years. And then the cycle would continue. I'd put in a claim, they'd say no, I'd go, fine, I don't need this. And then I've got a buddy who's a Navy commander in the reserves back in LA. And he heard my story and he's an 06. And he was like, how are you not 100% rated? And that cycle would continue. I'd hear somebody say that. I'd put in a claim. I'd wait. I'd go all through all the bullshit. They'd say no. And I'd go, okay.
I don't deserve it.
I don't deserve it. It literally went through that cycle for years. I think at one point it went from like 70 to 80, 80 to 90. And I was like, this is good enough, I guess. And the circle would continue and continue. And I'd meet another dude who was 100%. And I'm like, I got shot in the head. My arms are, my knees are jacked up. And then
it was a part of your comedy.
It was,
routine.
yeah. It's literally in my act. And then I came to Mick last year, and I gave the keynote, and I tell my story about my family, everything I've told you guys up to this point. Me coming in a much funnier way, much funnier way. I told the story of my family coming to the United States, my father being a POW, me deploying, me getting shot, me going through all the post-combat trauma stuff, my roommate getting killed. And at the time, I didn't really bring up the fact that I was only, what I think it was like 80% rated. I didn't bring it up in the show. And I think I ran into Nicola and I was like, hey, can you guys help me? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not 100% rated. And she went, what?
I know. I like heard your story and everything. I was like in tears, like just visceral, and you shared that to me. And I'm like, what? Yes. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. So, it was a lot of years of that cycle of, I don't deserve it. The VA telling me I don't deserve it. I settle with that. And then it just circles back until last year we met. And I said, here, what can you do? How can you help me? And like a lot of vets, I was very skeptical about any organization. Is like, we can help you. Because again, I feel like no one can help me.
Right.
So after a long talk and a lot of consultation and checking with other guys who actually worked with you, I was like, let's give it a shot and let's see what happens. The worst that's gonna happen is they're gonna say no again, and then I will repeat this cycle. And you guys, I know results vary in time and by what you're claiming and all that, but you guys I remember waking up one day and going, oh wait, that doesn't look right. And then I text you guys. I was like,
I still have that text.
we just did this.
Yeah.
I think it was like from start to finish. And again, this varies depending on person and the things you're claiming. But I think it was like 4 months.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty quick.
It was like, it was February. Well, it was February 2025 this year when it came through. We met in October of last year.
Right.
And we started the process shortly thereafter. But like, so I'd say from November to February, and there was a lot of work on your part, work on my part.
Yeah, checking in and
and going to see doctor and whatever I got to do. But I literally woke up one morning and I checked I think I was checking my bank statement for something, and I went, huh. And then I checked my VA online thing, and I went, no way. Because the last text I got from her was, the process is done up to this point. It could take 2 to 3 months for an answer from the VA, which I was prepared for because it's always 2 to 3 months with the VA. And I think it was a week after you said that I checked my bank statement and I was like, wait, that can't be right. And then I texted you both and I was like, okay, I think it's done. I don't know what happened. Like, it was so fast. And that was the first time I had this like weight of, this sensation of like relief for the first time. Yeah. Like literally in 20 years of like, okay, maybe I can focus on actually getting better instead of just worrying about my mortgage, healthcare, because I had just gone through a major career change as well. Like, I think I met you guys 2 months after I retired from radio, and not voluntarily. It was for mental health reasons. I had to quit a career that I'd had for 20 years. Not quite 20 years. But that was a huge shift. And there was a lot of stress going on at the time. And the fires happened in Los Angeles. And so I was going through a whole lot. And when that came through and I texted you guys, I was like, I feel a relief for the first time in a really long time. And I've been a big advocate in telling friends and fans, who, the major demographic of my fans are veterans or active duty folks. And I put it out and I'm like, hey, this worked for me. Like, I'm the skeptical guy who watches TV shows and TV commercials and go, this is another bullshit money grab. And I was like, this worked. It took work on my part. It took work on their part, but it worked for me. And then, like I said, I had a couple of airborne buddies who reached out. They're like, hey man, I worked with them 2 years ago or whatever. And they got me squared away. So, and that made me feel even better that before I'd even heard of you guys or met you, that I had friends getting squared away.
Yeah. You said something during that I think every veteran needs to hear. And that's, you're worth it. Like, I think that's just, every veteran needs to hear that. Like, you are worth it, So the, you had transitioned out of the military and gone through that process, and it was a difficult process, like it is too often, unfortunately. But now you're in comedy, and I know that comedy had a big part in your healing process and your transition. What did that look like?
I mean, it's still a healing process. I never say that I'm better. I say that I'm still working on it, because I'll be honest, man, I wake up every day, even now, even with my rating where it is, my career where it is, I wake up every day and I'm like, do I want to do this? Because every day is hard. And comedy is like this, it's the thing that I do to heal the damage that combat did to me. It's the time when I get to forget how much crap I've gone through, how much I've lost, how many friends I've lost. Because when I laugh at whether it's a friend's joke or something I write, everything else is gone. Which is why I do stand up for, the USO and Armed Forces Entertainment. Because if I'm in a room full of vets, more than likely, a lot of them are going through the same thing I'm going through.
Yeah.
And if I can tell a joke that makes them forget for 15 minutes, bless you, then I'm healing them the way comedy heals me. So I still get to be an NCO. I still get to take care of soldiers. So as much as comedy is just like, it's my career, it's also my therapy. I don't have to go to the VA for it. I don't have to schedule an appointment. I don't have to wait for the therapist to get the funding okay from the VA. And that's a thing, like I'm literally going through that right now. Like I finally made the decision to go, all right, I need to work on my mental health and really do therapy. I do it for 6 months and then they're like, oh, hey, we need to get the VA to okay another 6 months of therapy. It'll be 3 weeks before they give us the okay or not. It's been almost 2 months now since I've had an appointment. And now I'm having to go through that process. I don't do that with comedy. If I write a joke, I go to a comedy club, I tell the joke. Whether it works or not, if it made me laugh, cool. I have some of the funniest friends in the world. Like literally the funniest people in the world are friends of mine. And if I need to, I'll give them a call or I'll go to a comedy club in my hometown, the Flappers, Comedy Magic, Laugh Factory, and I'll sit and I'll just watch my friends be funny. And that'll make me feel better, or it'll make me at least forget for a minute that, gee, today was shit.
Yeah.
So that's why I use comedy. Luckily, it pays my mortgage now, but
Yeah.
That helps.
helpful.
If you could, there's so many of our brothers and sisters that are going through the same struggle and the same fight. They've transitioned out. They're dealing with the stress, either whether that's mental or physical. And but you have a lot of wisdom and you have a lot of experience. And I'd love to give you the opportunity just to speak directly to our veteran audience and share any words of wisdom, advice that you might have for those that are dealing with that same struggle.
Laugh every day. Someone asked me one time what the key to a good relationship was, like someone from an audience, and I was like, laughing. If your partner makes you laugh, you make them laugh. That is the most healing thing you can do. And if you laugh all the time, you will constantly be healing yourself. And secondly, like Nick said, like you deserve it. If you served, whether you were in combat or you were wounded or you got shot in the head or whatever, the benefits that you are allowed and are assured to you when you sign that contract, you deserve them. Except for Randy. Randy is a dick. Randy, you do not deserve them. Randy knows who I'm talking about. No, even Randy too, I guess. I can't be serious about anything. No, you deserve them. And if you have questions about whether you deserve them, you do. You just need to find the right people, in this case, Re-Medical, to show you the path on how to get there. Because I was just a dumb grunt, Like I was not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer. Reading anything more than 2 paragraphs that's not a field manual or a technical manual just makes my eyes just roll to the back of my head, and I don't care. So when you have people in your corner who can do the hard part, and for me, reading is the hard part. Reading, comprehending, caring about what I'm reading. Even though it's the thing, it's for me, I just get to a point where I'm like, I don't care enough to do this. And then it starts that cycle of, I don't deserve this. But you do, except Randy. And
Poor Randy.
there's a Randy out there watching this going,
He's like,
shit.
Wow.
Do
Ouch.
I not deserve this? No, Randy, you don't. You know why. Tell Cheryl I said hi.
I love it.
Well, Thom, thank you so much for a third time giving us your time and sitting down with us. It was amazing sharing your story. And I think we can both honestly say that we're proud to be your friends.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for everything. Like,
Appreciate
not just
everything you
me,
do.
not just this, but like you've helped a lot of my friends, like my personal friends, and a lot of other folks that I don't know personally who's fans of mine, who I've talked about you guys and they've reached out and they're either in the process now or you've helped them. So it's, you guys are doing the work. I just talk.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, Thom.
Thanks, guys.
All right.